Welcome once again to Conversations with My Mother. This is my mother, Dr. Betty Burston.
And this is my daughter, Dr. Shatria Collier.
We want to thank all of you all that listened last week and gave us your comments and your feedback. And again, we just are really trying to stay authentic and get to the heart of the matter of conversations that we have about life and living and love and vitality. So as I mentioned last week, I am just getting out of a 4-year relationship with an amazing man, a man who was just a great man, creative, inspirational, but unfortunately it just perhaps wasn't the right time for us. But today we are actually going to talk about this whole idea of why relationships fail. So I want to start us off. I'm going to be, throughout this webisode or this series, I'm going to be pulling from what I call the Sacred Sister book list that my sisters and I have compiled. And today the reading's coming from the book, The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. And so he starts off, he says, "You are not going to change a dog for a cat or a dog for a horse. It is what it is. Just accepting the fact in your relations with other humans is very important. You cannot change other people. You love them the way they are or you don't. You accept them the way they are or you don't. You try to change them to fit what you want. It's going to end in failure." So what do you think, Mommy? What are some of the, I know that we talked and you really wanted to talk about this topic. So what were some of the things on your mind or any comments about Don Miguel Ruiz's
You
statement?
actually summarized it when you mentioned the fact that fit is the cause of relationship longevity, and fit is the cause of what I call relationship failure. And one of the things that we have to ask is, what do we mean by fit? And we really have to start this whole notion of fit at the beginning, because relationship failure doesn't occur after 4 years, such as what happened in your relationship, but it actually begins the minute a male and a female meet each other and begin to engage each other. Now, at the very first level, the fit is what I call aesthetic fit. People, males and females, have what I call a dream image. And this dream image, which for men is a lot, maybe a physical dream image. For women, it's broader than that often. If that doesn't match at the very beginning, the relationship chops off. It ends. One of the things that women often do, they're not conscious enough of this notion of the dream image. If a woman should never initiate a relationship with a male, the reason is because if she is his dream image, if she's his physical type, he's going to initiate the relationship with her. If he does not, you are not his type, ladies. So let the relationship fail at the very beginning. Do you have any response?
So when you say, but the thing is, a physical fit though, because that means there are certain people that put a checklist. He needs to have A, B, C, and D. He needs to be 6'3", have this amount in the bank, etc. So if we're just going off of that initial physical characteristics, don't you think that we might be missing the boat a lot of times?
Yes, I do, but I also think if you have that checklist and you end up seeking to initiate a relationship with a person who doesn't fit that checklist, you're still setting up the relationship for failure. So there's no need even entering into that relationship. And in putting that, quote, dream list together, as I said, for men, it's often a physical response. And that's very important from a biological viewpoint, because males cannot function on a consistent, extended basis with women who are not their physical type. So it's very important to them for the woman to be their physical type. For women, as I said, it's a number of other type of things. A woman, for example, may not be able to function on any extended basis in a relationship with a male who's not an alpha male, who doesn't we have alpha males in the room, so out of respect for them, I won't talk about what their traits are.
Well, that's actually the next webisode. We'll get into
we'll talk about that.
Alpha males
But I'm saying that fit, whether it's a realistic list or unrealistic, that fit has to be there. That's when people began trying to change each other, is when the fit isn't there at that very, very beginning.
So what happens once we get past that? So let's say we meet.
Okay.
What happens once we get to that? I mean, let's say we meet and that there's an incredible attraction and we're into the relationship in about, let's say, a year. And then something turns. What is it that turns that makes people start second guessing whether they're meant to be with a particular person?
A year is a long time, so let's move past the first week or the first 2 weeks. Do you see? A lot of what happens within a year or even further down depends upon what happens within the first 2 weeks of the relationship. Now, during those 2 weeks, the males and the females have different objectives. What the male is doing is really interviewing. He wants to interview you. He wants to make love to you, first of all, and that's just recreational on his part. But he's also interviewing. If you're his physical type, he then begins interviewing you to see if you have that emotional, person-to-person fit. Some of the traits that males look for that determine a fit, they like happy women. A lot of women initiate that early phase, they cause it to fail, by telling him all the sob stories about how many other men have broken their hearts. Men don't want other men's trash, and that's how they see you. So that's not something that will support an extended relationship. As you go through that first 2 weeks, the men are going to try to gain sexual access. If you allow him sexual access, you're going to increase the probability that the relationship will fail. Because part of what allows the male to get to know you and to continue interviewing is because he wants to have sexual access. And he ends up wooing you, he ends up taking the time to listen to you as he's going through that process. When a woman allows sexual access too quickly, as I said, there's an excitement, there's a palpitations in a man's heart, in the woman's heart too, but in both hearts when there's that newness. But once that sexual access is gained before the other parts are built up, you're creating a recipe for failure.
So when do you think is the most appropriate time for a woman to allow access to her body from a man who she's interested in?
You don't want to hear my answer because we've had this conversation.
That's why we're having it again, though. Just for those women, let's say women who have been the woman who relationship after relationship makes love to a man within 2 weeks of it. So, what is a feasible or reasonable amount of time to do that?
Marry him in 2 months.
Okay.
And that's the time to allow him to have sexual access. Because if you are with
2 months?
2 months. If you, no more than 3 months. If it goes past 3 months, it's time to break it off.
Okay.
And even if it's someone that you love dearly, break it off. Because males are very, the research shows that males fall in love before females fall in love. So within 2 weeks, really, if the intensity is there and all of those things are there, you can get married. But within 3 months, I think it's a reasonable time.
Okay.
Because it takes you that long to plan the wedding.
Now, ladies, my mother and I, we do not always agree because I don't think that 3 months is an appropriate time to really get to know if you can go through the seasons with a man. And actually, that will lead to our next topic. And our next topic is going to be looking at male-female relationships, masculine energy and feminine energy. And we're going to be referring to Dr. Pat Allen's book, Getting to I Do. And one of the things she says is that a man and a woman need at least a 1-year cycle to get to know each other. So we'll talk about that one a little bit more in our next episode. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. We love you. Keep on exploring, keep on the journey, and we'll talk to you soon.